Right. I'm thrilled to introduce our community today to Cathy Goldstein. She has disrupted the beauty industry because she needed to heal after surviving a near-death battle with Crohn's disease in her 20s. She spent the next 40 years helping others recover from chronic illness through acupuncture, detox, and energy medicine. Cathy's work bridges the beauty peace, brain health, and emotional expression. She's not just helping women look younger. She's helping them reconnect with themselves, and she's been featured in Vogue, Philadelphia Magazine, Jefferson Medical School. Cathy is leading a new conversation, and it's one where aging isn't feared, it's redefined. And I'm so excited to talk about this today. How are you, Cathy?
I'm great, and I'm actually really excited to be here. The direction, not perfection, is a deep resonating philosophy for me because in my practice, it's always believing that perfection is actually not the goal. It's alignment and authenticity and resilience. So I'm very excited to unpack that.
Oh my goodness. Me too. I think that that word resilience especially has been the one that we keep defining and my membership because it's like it's really about the show up factor. It's really about just how much more quickly can we keep jumping back on track that gets the goals, gets the, the results and the wins. So thank you for also stating that. It's always fun when somebody else comes on and says something that our members or our community hears, and it's like, thank you. I love when other people are shouting it from the mountaintops.
Yes, yes, we have to. We have to be heard.
100%. Can you tell us a little bit about your story? Because I really feel like this lays the path perfectly for us today. You had kind of a traumatic story that brought you to where you are today. So, how did that look for you?
Yeah. So I was about 26 and I landed in the hospital with Crohn's disease. Was definitely ignoring all the signs and symptoms, trying to push it behind me, definitely pushed the limit to the point where I ended up in emergency room and multiple surgeries, almost died a couple of times. And the thing is that I actually was in the process of finishing some pre-med classes to go to DO school. So it was, as I say, the sledgehammer that redirected me because Western medicine, allopathic medicine, totally saved my life, but it was not healing me. It was not making me healthy. That concept of the healing system doesn't exist in allopathic medicine. So I ended up seeing an acupuncturist and I felt better than I had felt since I was 16. And it was definitely a calling to just change my direction and go into holistic care. So that's how I ended up in acupuncture school and then extending into a lot of neuroemotional work. I definitely work a lot with the emotions, a lot. And my patients were really, really sick patients. That's somehow what you attract when you get there because you're sick, right? So I was treating autoimmune and a lot of infectious disease, even things like that, that were just, you're my last resort. So that's how I got into holistic medicine, energy medicine.
Yes, and I love how you said it was the sledgehammer. And I think before we were talking, you were like, not the feather. That wasn't this nice gentle approach, and you just got to ease in. Nope. Game on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like sometimes it takes, maybe you would have never gone that direction. And I love that that's the plan. Well, you were just meant to, and you've helped so many individuals because of that. And one of my questions for you is I do feel like holistic care continues to be this, you're my last resort. I've tried X, Y, and Z and more, and I haven't gotten anywhere. Why do you think it's because of our culture that we're so slow to look towards holistic care?
Wow. I actually really, really like that question because I've spent definitely plenty of time thinking about it, especially when a new patient comes in the office. What brought them there and why did it take so long? I mean, it's my own story, right? Why did it take so long? And I think that we are definitely conditioned in a take the pill, fix the problem mentality. But what we find is that the pill doesn't fix the body. It hides a symptom and usually adds to other symptoms. And I think that the human condition, if you will, is to avoid pain. And I think that that is easier done by taking a pill and closing the door to all of the other adverse possibilities that happen when we ignore what's really going on with the body because whatever we're treating for with the pill is only a symptom. of a whole cascade of this unit, this system that's an entire body, it's an entire energy system. So I feel like it's just kind of needing the quick fix. And I also think that we think about energy medicine as something in the future, but a lot of what we do in holistic medicine is energy medicine. We are in the future. We are in energy medicine future. There are scans to scan the body to find where the imbalances are so that we can treat that from an energetic perspective. And for me, it's about going with nature, not against it. It is always better to go with nature. But sometimes nature takes a little bit of time, and you have to be willing to give that to yourself. And I mean, we deserve it, but it does take some effort.
I 100% agree. And I liked how you said we avoid pain, but it's also the quick fix piece. It's the microwave society. And we see that a lot in my niche as far as weight loss is concerned. And of course, we want fast fixes. But the reality is, and I love how you always bring up the brain piece, it's oftentimes our brain that needs to change first, which takes time before the body follows. I always tell my clients, I'm like, we are working on weight loss, I promise. It's just, it's going to look like we're talking about all these other things, and weight loss becomes the side benefit. And I feel like that's kind of where I hear you heading. It's like, we will get to what you're asking me, but we're going to work through it in a whole different way than you're used to.
Yes, yes. And I always say the issues are in the tissues, meaning that our stressors are going to show up in a physiological way. There is research that validates that our stressors affect us in a physical way.
Yeah, go into that for a second because I do work with like fibromyalgia or autoimmune type things. When you say that, how do you see that coming out in your clients?
Okay. So first of all, let me kind of back up and talk about the different types of the nervous system, right? So we have a physical nervous system. That's, the electrical nervous system. It's super slow. Take your hand off the stove idea, right? And then we have a liquid nervous system. And the liquid nervous system is hormones, neuropeptides, information substances, things that are transferred through the blood in kind of very instantaneous way, hormones, right? And then we have an energetic nervous system, what I call biophoton or the energy highway. And that's where we are actually connecting with our inside world and our outside world. It's where our cells communicate instantaneously through our entire body, as well as how we communicate on the outside world. So let's segue to emotions. So emotions in the research is really indicating that emotions are not something that we feel like a heartfelt kind of thing. They're actually biochemical. They're in the liquid nervous system and the energy highway. And so the research shows that the information comes in through our prefrontal cortex, our limbic or an emotional brain process it based on our history and decide how we feel about that input or that information. And like a 16-year-old girl standing in the hallway in high school sees her heartthrob come down the hallway, her hands start sweating, her mouth gets a little dry, her heart's going pitter patter, a little bit of tightness in the throat. She knows it's because she sees her heartthrob. But if you're in a grocery store and you started having palpitations, sweaty palms, dry mouth, what are you thinking? I'm having an anxiety attack and I don't know why. The emotion is always related to the physiology that we put some meaning behind based on the input of information. So, and I'm not saying emotion, it takes it away from the heart. No, I think we are kind of, we are heartfelt humans. That's how we connect. But all of our processing, all of our decisions, how we feel about things is because we've taken in thousands and thousands of pieces of data every minute and processed it in a way that tells us how we feel. Have you ever had someone who you have a knee-jerk reaction like, oh, that person really irritates me? So that's kind of a knee-jerk reaction based on some instantaneous energy connection between what we're interpreting that person triggers, if you will.
Yes. And so, okay, I'm going to pull everybody back to a little bit of 101 with this because I love how you're saying this. Is there the individual who doesn't even truly start to understand this? It's like I'm picturing levels of expertise here.
Right.
And maybe first would be even the recognizing of, and then all the way to what do we do with that once we can recognize it a lot more with our expert eye.
Yeah, I can go a little geek, sorry.
I love it. No, I think this is so good. I just can see somebody going, I hear you, and I think I understand what you're saying, but
Okay.
I don't know what to do with it.
Right, sure, absolutely. Well, one of the things in just like self-awareness is that if we feel some way about something, it is not it is not the something. It is our brain that has put together the different storylines that we've been told or have had our experiences, not even told, but our own personal experiences that then interpret the outside world. So I like to actually talk about mirroring or micro mirroring, right? So our expressions on our face when we're talking to somebody and we're listening to them, and let's say you're telling me this really heartfelt pain story, and I'm empathizing, right? But how I empathize is I mimic your micro expression, and that information by tightening those muscles goes to my limbic brain, sorts it out, and tells me how you're feeling. I've interpreted it, right? So this is about emotional intelligence and how we connect. So my ability to be empathetic relies on the ability for my facial muscles to mimic the expressions that you're making and send forward that information. And actually, here's a great example. Infants are mirror neurons. Their whole brain is mirror neurons because they're learning facial expressions and the energy behind them. You're laughing and cooing, and we usually exaggerate our expressions, and then the baby responds and starts laughing. That child is mirroring us. We're limbically resonating with them to teach them how to develop those neurons so that they can understand emotions. Sounds crazy, right? So let's bring that to a teen. We don't actually develop those neural pathways fully until for a girl about 21, for a boy about 25. So we don't actually develop those neurons. Do you remember when you could look at your mom and she'd make a face and she didn't have to say anything and you'd be like, oh, I'm in trouble, right? Right?
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because 70 to 90% of our communication is nonverbal before words even come out of our mouth. And this is that, again, that emotional intelligence. The more you're geared into those neuro pathways, if you will, the easier you are in being an executive, a counselor, a negotiator. If you're at the top of your game, it's because you have those great neurotransmitters that are helping you with the emotional intelligence. If you're a great mom, and everybody has their stuff, right? Everybody has their history. It's all about doing the best we can in the moment where we are. And I think that kind of goes a long way with just even life. In a study that had teenagers in a functional MRI, a 3D MRI of their brain while they were looking at images and videos of people talking who had injectables that did not allow them to make facial expressions. It fired up their emotional brain as if they were in trauma. And the reason why is because they can't interpret how that person feels. They're struggling. So when anxiety and depression are so high, I think that there's this cultural match here between our beauty industry's message that we have to, as we age, keep up with 20 and 30-year-olds when we offer a completely different level of human being as we mature. And so I don't agree with that process. I think that we age the best that we can. We use the tools that we can. I'm not saying use dial soap on your face, but all those facial muscle expressions are part of who we are, where we came from. It's our story. And I don't want to give up the story to try to compete with something when I'm not just owning who I am, where I am in my life right now.
Right. Oh, that's so interesting. I love how you said we have something different to offer and we're like stripping away maybe what we have to offer by trying to keep up with the youngins.
Right.
Okay. This is such a beautiful segue. So I want to take it that direction to more skin talk, but I do want to come full circle and just wrap up with a bow this piece that we were just talking about, just to make sure I have my brain wrapped around it correctly. But like, when we talk about the stories that we tell ourselves or why it's so important to unpack certain stories or to those limiting beliefs and to really work on limiting beliefs. Is that ultimately what you're talking about? Like when we can change a story, work on a limiting belief, a way that we felt in the moment, this is like the true healing piece of how we can move forward in a different light.
Yeah, I like the concept of unpacking something that has a core belief system, like a belief system that's a limiting belief system. So
Mhm.
one is becoming aware of the limiting belief system, and I think that that's where you really shine in your coaching is really kind of talking that through to finding out what the limiting belief system is. We're talking, we're communicating. So I do think that this is a key part of it. I think the challenging part is that we're not always aware of our we're because as soon as we start talking about it, we're interpreting it. We're
Mhm.
interpreting our emotions. So there is a little piece right there that's it can be a little bit of a challenge to get to. I mean, there are definitely different techniques that like the neuroemotional technique that use different like EMFR. People talk about EMDR. So
Mhm.
NET neuroemotional technique. Those are techniques that can be tools to kind of bypass that prefrontal thinking or what I call the lying brain because it's always justifying why we feel a certain way.
Mhm.
But it is good
Yes.
on that. It's good to work on just cognitive awareness. I mean, cognitive means our thinking brain, right? So it's cognitive awareness brings tools. And I think tools is what you need when you want to change something in your life.
Yes, thank you. That was a beautiful wrap up. Yes, I agree. And to like keep trying new tools because some people stop too soon, is my belief. It's like, oh, you just needed five more tries and maybe you would have finally gathered your whole toolbox of things that work for you. But
Right, right.
yes, it's just it's frustrating because we do have to try a bunch before we find the thing that fits. I want to say this because I love it. It's out of your mouth, but true radiance isn't about erasing lines back to talking more skin. It's about restoring energy, expression, and self-connection. And man, isn't that what we would hope and pray for our ladies listening today? It's just that don't we want to age in like an energetic and vibrant way? It's not about, I don't know, you go through what your talk with patients looks like or
Right,
your belief system.
right, right. So first of all, I think that what's attractive is the energy of a person. You know how we say, oh, they really grew on me. I absolutely adore them. They're so cute, or they're
Yes.
so whatever. They're so human. They're so transparent, whatever it is. It's because our facial expressions and how we communicate is exactly what we adore about other people. And then let me talk skin, take that segue and then also talk skin. From the age of 25, 30, we lose 1% of our collagen every year. And then by the time we hit menopause, postmenopause, we are now increasing that by 30%. So it's a very real thing. So being able to know that we can address that is helpful because it's kind of like anything else is that we may gain a lot, but we also need to make some adjustments in our life because we change a lot as we age. And what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the muscles of the face and our emotions and things like that is that because the muscles of the face are different than the most muscles of the muscles in the body lengthen and contract and extend and that allows the muscle to stretch. The muscles of the face are very different because they're more bone to skin or muscle to skin, muscle to muscle, muscle to skin. And so we tend to get our facial expressions that are repetitive, especially negative emotional experiences, expressions, they tend to get stuck on the face. So if we frown a lot, if we squinch our eyebrows a lot, if we, are in worry state, I often call around the mouth like the disappointments in life. Who doesn't have disappointments in life? So it's the part of our story is laying right on our face. But it also is good to be able to learn how to release those as well, because they also release the trauma that goes with it. Because our muscles, remember, when we tighten our muscles, they're sending information back. So those muscles that are constantly tight, or if we're thinking about something and get triggered. I was doing yoga the other day and I realized my mouth was tight and I was pulling my mouth down. And I'm like, what is that about? Okay, recognition first. Now
Yes.
relax. And you use my inside smile because I'm having fun. I'm doing yoga. So awareness is a big part of that as well.
I love the gentle reminder to self sometimes, like, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm happy, actually. I'm
Happy.
enjoying, even though my face is telling me differently.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. Because we're frozen in time and we're getting some message. Who knows what I was thinking about?
Yes, yes. So this is so interesting to me because I'm at an age where I definitely feel like friends have heard the story of with Botox, start it early because if you can keep the lines from coming in the first place, you're not going to get those things that sit on our face, that impression to our face, like you were saying. You have a different theory or scientific theory on this, and I'd love to hear what's the anti-aging and how it gets it wrong type theory.
Yeah. So, first of all, it's interesting because a lot of times happy emotions, positive emotions don't get stuck on the face in the same way that negative emotions do. So, for starters, so when I was 49, which I'm 65 now, so when I was 49, I'm a practice what I preach kind of gal as far as my practice goes. I'm not going to tell you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So, I was visiting a friend in California, and as he was coming down the hallway, I turned and I caught myself in the mirror and I went, when did that happen? I'm not recognizing that person because it's not how I feel inside. I felt like I looked years older and not even out of vanity entirely. I mean, I want to look great too, but more like what's going on? Why do I feel so disconnected when I look in the mirror on how I feel? And I think your audience can very much relate to I feel great. And then as we age, we look in the mirror and we think to ourselves, I don't really want to meet my friends for coffee because my eyes are bagging and my lips are wrinkled and losing the jawline. And it has to do with our self-esteem. And so being able to move that in a different direction was really important to me because I think it's the whole picture. So going back to my clinic and reevaluating this entire largest organ, which is not just our skin, but a system that integrates into the body, where the fascia and the lymphatic system and the muscles are relating to the skin, because those are all the things that tighten up and get constricted when we get emotions frozen on our face. So it was about how to release that and how to nurture the skin, not from the surface, but from the inside out. Because I felt like all of the goops and expensive, because I tried everything at that point. I was like, well, what can I do? Try the tools, try the skincare, didn't find what I was looking for because most of them are treating the surface of the skin. For me, because I very much engage in that functional medicine mentality, when I use functional nutrition, it's about giving the body the nutrients it needs to repair. For example, people want to take collagen and shove it in their skin to get that collagen. It's like it doesn't work that way because the collagen is much too large of a molecule. We actually need to give the body the nutrients on a deeper level where the cells are regenerating and coming forward so that it's getting the information to produce collagen on its own. And that's what makes the difference in what you put on your face now, having to do with how you look, not just in a week or a month or 3 months, but 5 years, 10 years down the line and on.
This is why I love integrative holistic care. The whole podcasting world has introduced me time and time again to root cause, root cause, root cause. It's not just this like band-aid level care. And I had another gentleman come on and speak on acne and how it was like gut biome related and food related. And it was in that we have a whole microbiome on our face as well. And this is how I'm loving your message is that again, it's internal, there's more to it. And it's inspiring. I feel like it goes back to it's crazy how much nutrition can play a role. And if we're not paying attention to our nutrition, if it's the one thing, and I hear this out of some people, I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to do that because it's overwhelming to them. How can we gently guide them into again, new eating habits and form like that. So it's just inspiring. It's a different way to look at food. So I'm curious where you go with this. So let's even say we're just friends and I'm sitting across from you and I'm considering Botox.
Mm.
You're messaging to me as a 45-year-old mom with teenagers in my house. What
Yeah.
would some of your talk back and forth be?
Yeah. So one is that I get it. I get it. The pressure is there. I totally understand why people would feel that way because all of the messaging, all the beauty industry messaging, all of the social media messaging is that that's the answer. But it's really not necessarily an answer that's going to serve you, your body, your brain in a direction that you want. So, how important is it for you to make sure that your emotional intelligence and your brain is working at its optimal on that emotional level?
Right. Oh, it's so interesting. People are just at all different levels with this, but and I feel very fortunate. I grew up with a mom who was very like, I'm just gonna age. I watched my mom just age, and like every wrinkle and laugh line had had a story, exactly what you're saying with it, and just gonna love myself into aging. And for the people who haven't had that role model in front of them, do you feel like this is like where you almost need to curate your surroundings, whether it's your social media or the people you follow? Because talking to you is you're another great role model of, I'm just going to love myself into aging. So,
Mhm.
how did that come about for you? Did you have wonderful role models?
So my mom's mom lived vicariously through my mom, who was her oldest daughter. So no, she put her through finishing school. She did a sweet 16. I mean, everything was social. So as my mom aged, she did a great job in kind of focusing on what was a value, what was important, she wanted to teach her kids. So she did a great job, but it's really hard to let go of what the imaging is. So she did Botox at one point, but she actually no longer does. She's still thriving. She no longer uses any of that. She actually just uses the tools that I give her. And she's 90 and she looks amazing. You would never know it. You would never know it. I love her before and after photos too, because you can really see where she released all of those stressors in her face. Because I do want, as much as I I'm all about nature, going with nature is the best direction. There are a lot of things to be able to go with nature. I mean, to be able to get the results that you want, because I think aging should be timeless, that you're using the tools that you have, again, like take care of my physical body. I'm going to eat well. I'm going to make sure that I exercise. I'm going to make sure that I do meditation. My skin is the same thing. It's the largest organ. So I'm going to do lymphatic drainage and I'm going to exercise, releasing those stagnant energy areas around my mouth. And expression, I would have huge, deep, deep, deep lines on my forehead if I weren't doing what I do. But I'm okay that I have some lines on my forehead as far as like not looking for perfection.
Yes. Right. And you and I both know that even when one area gets fixed, if the mental piece isn't healing with it, we'll find the next area to
Yes.
go ahead and yeah,
Yes.
zone in on.
Yeah.
Yes. What would it look like to work with you and your tools?
So actually, when I first developed the protocol, I was using the natural facelift protocol, if you will. I was using that in my office and I was loving the results. They were loving the results, but I was in my office. So I wanted to be able to make that available to people who have every reason why not to. I can't afford it. I don't have the same money that the celebs have where they can do all these treatments that are natural that cost $3,500 just to do the first series. So I wanted to get that into people's hands. So I took my whole system to Dr. Pugliese, who is no longer with us, but was the muckety muck of the industry. He wrote many, many books on aesthetics and did all of the testing for all of the high-end skincare companies just to give them, sales points, if you will. And he called me after 15 days of the 30-day trial and said, I have no idea how you're getting these results. These women look like they've had mini facelifts. And I was like, okay, I can take it out into the world. But what he didn't know is that I was actually, he thought it was the magnets in the tool and things like that. And that is a factor. But I used my energy medicine background and implemented it in the skincare system with the tool. So I have frequencies that are in the tool that resonate at a healthy vibration of a healthy cell. So, like a tuning fork, you can vibrate a tuning fork and you don't need to touch the fork to the next tuning fork for it to pick up that vibration. It'll retune and then they'll start vibrating. So it's the same concept that even in my practice with acupuncture, if I'm just doing acupuncture, I might say acupuncture teaches your body to function on its own. So it is educating your system to start being healthy. And so as your body learns that, you will hold your treatments for longer and longer. So we're going to reevaluate after 6 treatments or 10 treatments and see where we are. Well, what I integrated years and years ago into my practice is what I call an integration room. And it's using frequencies like light, sound, crystal, biophoton frequencies to help the body vibrate at that healthy frequency. So every time I did an acupuncture treatment and used frequencies, it was like getting 10 treatments in one because it's
Hmm.
re-educating that nervous system. So as stressful as our world is, these are the things that will blow out our system that like you're saying, you just have to reset. But the more resilient you become, the more you vibrate at that high vibe frequency of health, the easier it is to reset, the more resilient you are.
Yes, doesn't take so much effort.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So if somebody's ears, and I'm sure people are, this is so intriguing, what's the best place to find you to keep reading up on more and understanding all of this?
So my website is trueenergyskincare.com, which is TRU energy, ENERGY skincare.com. And I have a lot of articles and blogs and things like that that really go into depth around a lot of different things. It has just a storyline on what's the little green bead in the jar, what's the wand, what's it made of, how does it work. So there's definitely different storylines in that. So you can find more information about that. And yeah, by all means, it's an interesting topic.
It is. And again, thank you. Even just you mentioning their tools. And it's not that we're trying to overhaul our body. We're just trying to use what's like naturally available to us to keep aging in a way that we can be proud of. This conversation kind of blew my mind because I'm sure we're on the same page with hormones. And my mom, who's 73, has really been asking the questions. She has a physician who's not on board. And her response when my mom was like, why would I not want to use tools that are available to me when I know that I can regain bone mass, when I can help my brain or protect my brain? And she was like, well, it's not in the plan. Like you have to accept that you're aging. I was like, oh, that's such a interesting response back from a physician. And I'm thinking the same thing with skin, that we don't just have to accept it. It's not that we're like going against aging. It's just that if we have some tools available to us, age energetically is one of the word. I just love that you
Yeah,
use energy on.
and it is about that, right? It's that vibration. And I think that that's exactly, if we know we're losing collagen, if we know we're losing the capability to stay hydrated, both
Hmm.
physically and our skins, obviously same thing, then we take the extra steps because we want to feel good. I want to feel great. I want to feel great for another 20 years.
Right. Yes. And it's available to us. So why not? Yes. So thank you for that today. I always like to end this way, that if you could wrap your arms around our community, if they heard nothing else that you said today, if they took away that one thing, what do you hope and pray that they heard?
I think that for me, the bottom line that I would love for people to hear is that health and wellness are not perfection, totally aligning with your message that gentle consistency is important. And I also feel like, who you are is amazing. I want you to look in the mirror, feel amazing, walk out into the day with the confidence that you deserve, and to just know that what you bring to the table is amazing. Own it.
Cathy, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom today. We really appreciate you. And you're welcome back anytime.
Hey, Lindsay, I appreciate you.